Oh, there we are with our super sexy content warning.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, the One Piece was behind a paywall this whole time. That asterisk, that asterisk isn't going anywhere. It's trauma time. Do Marvel heroes have a thing for redheads, or is it just the creators? All this and more on Cutting Edge Hero Live. Welcome to Cutting Edge Hero! I am the Nerd King, Danny Stewart, your host for this and every episode of Cutting Edge Hero, joined today by the magnificent, the attractive, the girthy Landon Felter. Landon, say hi to the nice folks.
Hello, everybody. It's good to be here again.
Landon, it has been a good week for nerd stuff. I am excited to be back in the studio with you. We've got a lot to talk about this week. Not starting with, but later in the show, we will be talking about season 3, episode 7 of Invincible, the television series streaming on Amazon Prime, or the Invincible War, if you're nasty. We will be talking about episode 3 of Daredevil Born Again. And then on the hit list, we will also be talking about our 5 favorite things Japan has brought to the United States. Before all of that, Landon, what is the nerdiest thing you've done this week?
The nerdiest thing is me and my partner Joey have been binging Invincible over the past couple of days.
Oh, I am excited.
Yeah, Joey recently took off of work because we're going to be moving soon. And we've just been home watching Invincible this whole time. And while I'm here, I just wanted to say yesterday I celebrated my 25th birthday.
No way.
Yeah.
Landon, why didn't I know this?
I don't know. I'm sure we brought up birthdays before. That being said, I don't remember the specifics of your birthday. I know it's
see.
June
I'm
sometime.
a terrible friend. That's the problem.
You're not a terrible friend. I don't know.
Froggy Gaming is in the chat. Froggy, glad you are here. Our human relations specialist and fact checker extraordinaire, Ben Stewart, should be in the chat eventually. And if he isn't, I guess that's because he died. But Landon, what did you do for your 25th birthday?
I got high and got Burritoville.
That is a great way to celebrate your 25th. What's your standard Burritoville order?
Oh, it's definitely the pulled pork dirty fry burrito.
Oh my God, I'm rigid just thinking about it.
It's
Unfortunately,
so
for all of you who don't live in Cape Girardeau or the surrounding area, you have no idea about the magnificence that is Burritoville because it is a Cape local food establishment. But it is worth the trip. And if you ever come to visit me and Landon, or if you happen to find yourself in town for Becca in the chat wants a burrito. I actually ate a burrito shortly before we went on the air. I made it myself, like a poor person. But if you find yourself in the area, say you come to the 10th annual anime con put on by Cape Events, or the 20th annual Cape Con coming up in November, you can also go to Burritoville with me while you're here. Jody Lee Meredith in the chat says, howdy, buddy. What is up, Jody? The Boot Heel Batman owner of Boot Heel Bat Fam and one of our favorite people to see at our cons, but also just an all-around great dude and fan of the show. Jody, glad you're in the chat. Landon, the nerdiest thing that I have done this week is so once upon a time, many, many, many months ago, I watched a 24-hour long retrospective on the entire history of all of the Transformers, like everything from the foundation in the 80s to modern times. I decided that for funsies, I would do it all over again. So I have been binging this 24-hour long retrospective on the Transformers, and it has been a blast. As always, I just really enjoy the history, the story, the lore, the legends of the Transformers universe.
Yeah, well, the Transformers is a very complicated subject matter. I mean, even in its base incarnation, they go some crazy fucking places.
Yeah, there's like 6 different established timelines for the Transformers as well, because they've let people reboot the series multiple times, but because nerds are all about info and the shared universes that our characters live inside of, those have all overlapped or merged at some point, and a little piece of this has been used in this series and vice versa, until there are just like these incredible overlaps and lore and just small changes here and there, and it's just such an incredible myriad of info and legends that I don't know. I just can't get enough of it. Jody Lee Meredith said, they say Transformers comics are crazy good, but I've never read any. It really depends on which ones you get. IDW did a great job with it. The Marvel comics back in the 80s going into the early 90s were really, really good. And then there's a period there where the Transformers comics weren't great. But yeah, I would say absolutely check those out. But Landon, before we move along to anything else, would you like to do some news?
Oh, always.
How about you fire those bullet points at me? Welcome to the bullet points. We are talking about some of the news, definitely not all. Who's got the time? Some of the news coming out of all of our favorite nerd properties, beginning with anime. Landon, it was announced this week that part 2 of One Piece, Egghead Island, will stream concurrently on not only Crunchyroll, but also on Netflix. So if you were just so exhausted of logging into your Crunchyroll account to watch your anime, or to go to your favorite illegal streaming site to find your One Piece, you can now dust off your old Netflix account and stream One Piece there as well.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Incredible. This will totally change the landscape of everybody who's catching One Piece as they come out. It's not like they already had their system set up or anything like
Right.
that.
Yeah.
Exactly. Like you were alluding to beginning.
Right. Like, so for those people who I guess are jumping on to One Piece along with the live action, and that being their starting point, I guess this gives them a place where they can go watch the original anime while also consuming the live action. But you're jumping in on the Egghead arc. Like, I don't think they have everything from the beginning.
Yeah, I think the Netflix is missing a decent chunk of stuff.
Yeah, I think it just starts with Egghead Arc 1. And now they will be in April bringing Egghead Arc 2 to Netflix. In comics, so in celebration of the forthcoming MCU film Thunderbolts Asterix, the Marvel Comics is also running a new Thunderbolts comic featuring a brand new Thunderbolts team, as well as a new Thunderbolts logo. Seen here, at Thunderbolts, the comics now also features the asterisk at the end. You will see that the title for the series is New Thunderbolts. And for the first time in the Thunderbolts history, it's going to feature some of Marvel's most important lead characters. This team will consist of Hulk, Carnage, Wolverine, which will be the Laura Kinney X-23 version of Wolverine, Clea Strange, Namor, Winter Soldier, and Black Widow, and they are coming together to fight a dark, evil version of the Illuminati who are threatening the Marvel universe. This issue, or this series, releases on June 11th, which you will all remember being notable because it is my birthday. And it is being written by Sam Humphries, and the art is being done by Tun Lima. So apparently they said that the asterisk would mean something in the movie coming out, but apparently it's not going anywhere, and they're using it for the actual Marvel comic series now for the Thunderbolts. So I don't know.
What does the asterisk mean in this situation?
Kevin Feige says it will be explained in the movie, but the prevalent theory is that the asterisk is a sign that they are intending to come up with a better team name eventually, and they're just using Thunderbolts for now, which is what the asterisk is meaning, is that it's just a placeholder to like come up with a better name.
See, here's the thing. I was thinking like post movie or whatever, underneath the asterisk would mean something like not actually involved with Thunderbolt Ross or something like that.
It's in the appendices. You have to go past the post credits to the appendices, where you can consult Appendice A-2, and it will say not affiliated with Thunderbolt Ross or the sound that comes after lightning. It's literally just a team name. But yeah, it's I don't know. Hopefully it's funny. I feel like it's already kind of drawn out at this point. Like it's I don't know, unless it's just something that we don't even see coming and you're just like, holy shit, that's what the asterisk meant. I don't know. I don't see it being that game changing.
Imagine getting excited over an asterisk.
I do. I am. I know that I'm going to be let down though. Like I'm already like the Marvel fanboy, the Kevin Feige fanboy in me is excited and like, oh yeah, this is going to be awesome. They're going to do something awesome with it. It's going to blow your minds just like the MCU did in the first couple of phases. But like the jaded, like burnt out on, I'm not burnt out on superhero movies or TV shows. I don't want people to misquote me here. I'm burnt out on their promise of something great and it turning out being kind of mediocre. But the, I don't know. It's a marketing thing. They're planning to use it in perpetuity, I guess, from now on. The Thunderbolts will always come with an asterisk on the end of it. Whatever. Moving along to television. Landon, were you ever a Power Rangers fan?
Yeah, I was a child at one point, so yes.
Okay, well, later this month, Max will be streaming 6 documentaries coming to their streaming service, focusing on the dark side of Hollywood. And one of the first ones that they will be streaming is one based on the Power Rangers and the hidden dark side of the series. The documentary features cast interviews from longtime Mighty Morphing actors. So I'm assuming it focuses more on the Mighty Morphing era of Power Rangers, but it does seem to move into that like Wild Fury or Wild Force era. So it's going to extend beyond the MMRP. But it does feature an interview with Nakia Baris, the third Yellow Ranger in the MMRP series. She was with Turbo and former guest of Cape Con. She will be on the documentary as well as some other actors and firsthand accounts of the bad side of being in the Power Rangers. And honestly, I love the Power Rangers, but also I know that they're with it being a Japanese series brought to the United States, and it was made in a time when actors really did not have a lot of representation, and they were kind of taken advantage of. And that's something that you can hear especially the Mighty Morphin cast talk about pretty much anytime you see them in an interview. It'll be interesting to see what they've uncovered and what they dive into and what they felt required a like hour-long documentary.
I mean, with the amount of people they bring on for these shows that are that are at the time no-name actors. A lot of them came to be like more famous because of the Power Rangers, but like the time having, as you said, very little power and representation, I can imagine that easily being a hotbed for abuse of the power and everything. So it wouldn't surprise me if it still goes on to today, even.
And my buddy Rygon in the chat, he said, I assume you're talking about Red Ranger. It's not bad, not going to lie. I've actually met the original Red Ranger, Jason. What's the actor's name? It doesn't matter. Anyway, I've met him. He was not a nice individual. Actually, the worst interaction I've had with a Power Ranger. But and he said they'll be going into the seedy underbelly of the Power Rangers experience. And honestly, I'm kind of excited to watch it.
Yeah.
And finally, in movie news, Spider-Man 4 has cast Stranger Things star Sadie Sink in an unspecified role. The prevalent rumor is that they are casting her as the X-Men's Jean Grey, but obviously a redheaded actress being cast in a Spider-Man series. The first thought you will have is Mary Jane. That being said, Zendaya played a version of MJ, not necessarily Mary Jane, but a version of MJ in the previous Spider-Man films. And they are believing that this may be a vehicle for them to introduce more mutants earlier in the MCU before they drop the actual X-Men stuff.
I mean, I'd be down for it. Spider-Man is always like interacted with the X-Men more than some other heroes out there. I mean, heck, there's even a whole show out there where, what was it, like Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends or something like that? That was him teaming up with 2 X-Men for the
Yes,
entire series. So
Firestar and
Iceman.
Iceman. And then Miss Lion, Aunt May's dog. I don't remember what kind of dog it was, but she was like the star of the show. And that series where Dan Gilvezan was the voice of Spider-Man gives us the iconic Spider-Man pointing meme that comes from that.
Yeah.
It was the Chameleon episode. But anyway, I'm looking forward to if it is Jean Grey. I've enjoyed the casting choices they've made for Jean Grey and her previous appearances, but they have not done a good Jean Grey yet in the X-Men movies to date.
Yeah, well, they kind of suffer with the same thing of Jean Grey in the movies that they do in like the shows, where she's just too powerful for most of the other X-Men. So you kind of have to like be careful with her.
Well, they rush it. They rush it every single time. You need to move the story, like have Jean be a part of the X-Men, do a couple of movies, introduce the Shi'ar, have them deal with the Shi'ar warbirds, have her get the Phoenix powers, have her be a good guy as the Phoenix for a little bit, and then slowly descend into the evil side of being the Dark Phoenix, and then have the whole storyline where the Shi'ar take them to space and they have to fight them for the right to either kill or save Jean Grey, and then Jean sacrifice her life at the end of it in order to save everyone, as opposed to this version that we've gotten both times where they're just like, Jean Grey has the Phoenix Force. Now she's crazy. Someone better kill her. Here comes Wolverine. Like that story requires a whole lot more nuance than it has gotten at any time that it has been shared on the big screen.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Anyway, that is all I've got. Landon, what do you have in video game news?
All right. It feels like it's been a pretty slow week for video game news. Again, if I'm missing anything that y'all know about, chime in, let me know. But Respawn's new FPS shooter has been canceled. So, Titanfall 2 fans, we stay losing. uh, In-person BlizzCons will be coming back in 2026.
Really?
Yeah, Blizzard didn't do a BlizzCon last year and announced that it wouldn't be doing a BlizzCon this year because it wants to focus more so on its game development, which this was a marketing ploy, so they have nothing to do with each other and like allocating resources. But I'm not super big on what they're doing behind closed doors, so who knows what's going on there. But they will be bringing it back for next year.
Where will that be located?
I do
That's
not
not a touring show, is it? They just do like one?
Yeah, they just do like one.
Yeah.
And some big news for those of you who play Pokemon Go. Niantic's game division, which includes Pokemon Go, Wayfarer, Pikmin Bloom, Monster Hunter Now, and Campfire, is being sold to Scopely.
Scopely.
They are another mobile game company. They have done a couple of other games. One Marvel game, I forget what it's called, but they mostly seem to do like licensed mobile games.
Kinda
Like they did
Telltale.
one for like WWE, and they did one for like Marvel, and they did like a couple of other things.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have not played Pokemon Go probably since the first year after it was released. And I know that it has gone through some changes in that time, but nothing broad enough to make me want to jump back on board.
I have never been that interested in Pokemon Go from like the very beginning. I don't say that to shit on Pokemon Go. I know a lot of people like it, and hey, if you like it, go off. But it's never been my cup of tea.
It does suck finding out much later that it was actually a vehicle for them to refine GPS maps. They were using the data to like learn more about areas, and whenever they needed more data in a specific area, they would put a highly sought after monster in that area so they could draw more people to the area to get more information.
I don't know if that's what it started as, but hey, if they saw the opportunity to do it, it doesn't surprise
what
me.
It was to begin with. Like it was a vehicle for that or packaged as a Pokemon experience.
Yeah, well, we all know at this point that we're worth more as data than anything else to these companies. Like, let's be real.
The queen of nerddom herself, Jennifer Johnson, in the chat. Jen, glad you are here. Thank you for showing up.
Yeah, and that was a Marvel Strike Force. That's the
Oh,
Marvel
okay.
game they did.
Yeah, and that was, I mean, that's still pretty popular. They actually tied Strikeforce into Rivals. If you registered your account from Strikeforce with the game, it gave you some exclusive like sprays and skins and stuff.
Neat.
Yeah, neat indeed.
But that's everything I have from gaming news. Once again, anything else that I missed? Sound off in the comments.
Absolutely. Well, that is it for the bullet points. I hope this news didn't just graze you. This has been the bullet point. Welcome back to the show, Landon. You mentioned that you were watching Invincible. Are you current now, or are you still working on getting there?
No, we are just, I think we're just now starting season 3.
Well, I hope you read the comics because we're about to spoil the hell out of the show.
Listen, there's one thing Invincible comic fans are good at. It's spoiling shit for everyone else.
Yeah, and I am not any different. So, the last episode, episode 7 of Invincible, did not pull any punches, and it dropped us almost immediately into the Invincible War from the comics. Now, the Invincible War in the comics was a multi-issue war that spanned across all of Image Comics, and it involved such superheroes as Shadowhawk, Spawn. It had God, what is the name of the team? Ripblade, the Savage Dragon, like all of the biggest hitters from Image Comics showed up for this crossover with Invincible, and each of them squared up against an alternate reality evil version of Mark, i.e. Invincible. Now, they couldn't do that with Amazon because Amazon was not willing to pay to get the rights to all of those characters that belong, because Image Comics characters belong to their creators and not to the comic brand. So you couldn't license through like Image to use, Savage Dragon, Spawn, Shadowhawk, all of those characters. You would have to license individually with each creator. So as opposed to reaching out to Todd McFarlane and all the rest of them, they just used their in-universe characters that they were allowed to use from the Invincible universe, and had them square off against the different evil Invincibles. But even with the fact that we didn't get to see an animated Spawn throwing down with Invincible, it was great. The fights were well done. It was as gory as you would expect it to be. There were some major sacrifices, including some of the major characters of the series who we will not see again. Spoiler alert. I'm not going to say who, but some of the main characters from the series do not survive this war and will not be back, if they follow the comic storyline at least. But man, the Invincible War was well done. If you are a fan of action-packed superhero battles with some very heavy emotional trauma and damage, all while looking incredible, this episode of Invincible is the one to check out. And certainly this one and the last one of the season, episode 8, will be the best two to check out, because after this episode, we get a closing stinger for episode 8. And again, if you're not a fan of the comics, this may not mean anything to you, but as a fan of the comics, this has me so excited. I have literally soiled myself thinking about it. Conquest shows up at the end of the episode to challenge Mark to a fight. Now, he has been going nonstop, fighting an army of evil versions of himself who, while near his level of power, not nearly at his power level, because Mark has been training for just this kind of situation. So he's the strongest in the group. He outpaces the rest of the evil Invincibles. But it's, man, is it a fun fight. But Conquest is one of the oldest, most powerful Viltrumites in existence, and he has come to Earth to teach Mark a lesson about not doing what the Viltrumites expect him to do. And if in the comics, it is disgusting, it is gory, it is, they at one point are hitting each other with their viscera. So I cannot wait to see it in moving, beautiful animation. And the belief is that some of the animation quality for the series has been subpar through season 3. And the reason for that is that they have put every bit of their effort into episode 8, which comes out tomorrow. So I for one will be sitting on my couch in my Invincible jammies, excitedly watching that episode as it airs. But this is the best time to get on to the series, get caught up, watch the Invincible War. It's great. And then get ready for Conquest. You're not prepared. I'm not prepared. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah. If I know anything about Conquest from everything I've seen, it's that when he shows up at any point in the comics, shit goes up to 11.
Absolutely. Yeah, and Conquest is a bad, bad, bad man. So if you know anything from the series, Viltrumites are like Saiyans. As long as they're fighting, they don't age, or they age much slower. Conquest is older. He's balding, he's got gray hair, and he's got a mustache, but he's ripped. Like, this guy is enormous. He's so strong. And the thing is, he has been fighting so hard and so long that with his reduced Viltrumite aging, he has still gotten old while kicking ass.
Mm-hmm.
So he's dangerous, and it's gonna be bad for Mark, but exciting for us, and that's the important thing.
Yes.
Also, season or Daredevil Born Again episode 3 dropped on Tuesday. It was okay. I know that one of the things that the Netflix series did really well was pacing. They did a great job with pacing, but they did a great job of giving you these slow, tense episodes, but there was still some superhero action. There was almost always Matt doing something where he would fight somebody or he had some action in the episode. Born Again didn't do that with their episode 3. It is a mostly courtroom drama episode with very little action, and it is very. It kind of drops the ball on that tense drama that the Netflix series did so well, and it's just kind of like boring, is what I will say. I'm sure that somebody with more refined television and movie taste is going to talk about it being an emotional tour de force that held them to the edge of their seat the entire 50 minutes or whatever, but that is not what I got out of it. All I got out of it was that it was an episode of a superhero TV show that barely had a superhero in it, and it certainly didn't have the main character superhero that we're looking for in the episode at all. And that is 3 episodes into a 9-episode series. So a third of the way through the series, we still have barely gotten Matt in the Daredevil costume. So I hope that these next 6 episodes really bring it, because this episode certainly did not. I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to watch every single second of this series. But for me, it didn't do it for me. And thankfully they've gotten it out of the way with 6 more episodes to go. Hopefully we don't have any more courtroom procedural episodes in the rest of the series, or at least it's very short if we do. Looking forward to Matt getting back in the costume and having some actual Daredevil stuff. It does give us the teaser of the flag wave, the flag smashers, the New York City police officers who idolize the Punisher and are using his logo and carrying out street justice with while claiming to be fans of the Punisher or whatever. We did get that in the end of the episode, but hopefully that means that we will see Frank Castle, the Punisher, John Bernthal, returning in episode 4. And hopefully that will lead to us getting Matt back in his actual Daredevil costume, because that's why I show up to watch the series. Jody Meredith said his wife loved the episode because it wasn't superhero. That's great. I feel like I'm glad she enjoyed the fact that it wasn't superhero heavy, but at the same time, for me, it's I don't think that someone who was just like a really big fan of Law and Order would have thought this was good television either. I just don't think it carried enough of one or the other. I don't think it leaned hard enough into that like courtroom procedural drama that it could do, and instead kind of like sacrifice both in order to tell this kind of dry narrative. And hopefully they pick up the ball with episode 4, because 1 and 2 were good. I really enjoyed episodes 1 and 2, especially with the opening with Daredevil. I thought that the animation on that was really good. I thought that Matt actually doing Daredevil stuff with his Daredevil abilities was better than it was in the Netflix series, where they mostly just showed him like dropping onto rooftops, but they didn't show all the like grappling hook swinging and all that kind of stuff. So I think episode 4 will get there, and if that's the case, it'll certainly redeem it from episode 3. But for me, episode 3 was kind of a slog. But yeah, that's what we had for Daredevil. Speaking of something that I'm a really great segue, we're talking about our 5 favorite things coming from Japan to the United States in this week's hit list. You know, Landon, I don't think that was my best segue.
I think it was perfect, Danny.
Yeah.
Knocked it out of the park.
Yeah.
Never a dud with you. 10 out of 10s all the way through.
I think I'm still shaking off some of the rust from our couple-week hiatus. But anyway, welcome to the hit list. This week we were talking about our 5 favorite things that Japan brought to the United States. Get your lists in now. Throw them up in the chat. If you can't think of anything, just do what I did. Fake it. But anyway, we will be discussing your lists out of the chat as well as our own list, starting with Landon. What do you have for number 5?
All right, number 5. It's just sushi. I love sushi. I love fish. I love even the Americanized version of this, where they deep fry it and put like cream cheese and shit in it.
Or the pickle roll, Midwest sushi.
Yeah, or the pickle roll. But I just like sushi. It's good. I like rice. It's filling, but not too filling.
I just noticed in the bottom corner it says Danny Cape Events instead of.
Sorry, you know what it does.
I did a live stream announcing our 2 newest guests for Cape Anime, and I changed that, and Landon did not notice that it was different. But we will get it rectified immediately, and then we'll talk about sushi. No space.
Damn it.
Yeah, you were so close. But anyway, Landon, I also really love sushi. What is your favorite sushi roll?
Honestly, they have this one thing at Midori that's called like the spider roll, and it's like crab and like
yeah, dude,
just like enough. It's just good.
Yeah, I love me a spider roll. I like a Naruto roll. You know, like all sushi restaurants, we have some Cape local rolls that are named like the Red Hawk roll and like other stuff like that that are actually just regular sushi rolls that they serve everywhere else, but they go by a different name. But yeah, I'm a big fan of spicy tuna or spicy salmon. I think those are both really great rolls, and I really like deep fried sushi rolls just because I'm from the Midwest.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah. What else we got in chat?
Billy Rhodes, number
Billy
5,
Rhodes is here
with the Pilot G2 gel pens, my second favorite pen on the market. Billy, I currently have a Pilot pen in my hands right now. It is a Precision V5. This is my favorite pen on the market, so I know exactly where you're coming from with talking about Pilot pens. Hell yeah.
Yeah, I don't. I have a tactical pen that is machined brass for stabbing people. It's got a bolt action I'm going the wrong way. It's got a bolt action mechanic, and it just has a standard ballpoint tip, so not nearly as nice as your Pilot G2 pens. Or what was the one you had, Landon?
A Precise V5.
Let me see. Oh, God. You grossly overestimated. Oh yeah, these ones are sweet. These are nice. I like these. Thank you. Here, hope you can do better than I can. Oh, first try. Caught it in 2 hands. Fantastic. But yes, I do love a really nice gel pen. They are incredible. Actually, the first refill that this came with was gel, and then all the other ones in it are ballpoint. And the gel was so nice. I was so sad when it ran out. But anyway, moving along. What else do we have in chat?
Jennifer, for me, it's 0.05.
0.05, yeah. Let me tell you something. Let me get on my soapbox for just a second before we move along to the top 5 lists. I'm left-handed. Well, predominantly left. I'm actually ambidextrous, but I write with my left hand. And I wish to Christ that they would create a pen that didn't ruin in left-handed people's hands. But because whenever a left-handed person writes, you push forward as opposed to dragging backwards like a right-handed person writes, you gum the ball in the pen up with lint and anything else that's on the paper. And so you cannot buy a high quality pen and be left-handed and not ruin it. Unfortunately. So somebody figure out how to make that not a thing. I guess I could start writing backwards. I don't know. But somebody please save me from ruining every single pen I've ever owned.
I don't know. If it's like lint and stuff getting clogged in there, why don't you just like wipe down the paper or something?
That is way too much work. Do you have any idea how fast I write? I can't do that on every single page. No. It's not that easy. So there's loose fibers on the paper. Paper isn't like it's a seamless piece. It's a bunch of different pieces mashed together. Just right to left. Yes, Billy, that is an option. If you never want to understand what I'm writing, I guess. I could learn everything in reverse, and I'm never going to put that kind of effort into it. I just want a pen that works right for a left-handed person. That's it. Anyway, what else we got?
Jennifer J's number 5 is sushi, same as Landon.
Oh yeah. I mean, for all the same reasons, I love sushi. We should all get together and go have sushi together.
Yeah, I'm always down for sushi.
Absolutely.
Great minds always think alike. Rebecca's number 5 is ramen.
Yes. Now, for me, I love a traditional ramen, but I'm not so bougie that I can't also eat dollar ramen, the kind that has fed college kids in the United States for decades now and kept them alive. Speaking of ramen, we are having our 3rd annual ramen noodle eating contest at Cape Anime, April 5th and 6th. If you want to be a part of that, you can take home a $200 cash prize for being the person to eat the most ramen in our ramen noodle eating contest. But anyway, I love ramen, and I got traditional for the first time this last year. That was made by somebody who like an actual Japanese chef who knows how to make traditional ramen, and it blew my fucking mind. It was so good. I totally get Naruto's attachment to it.
Yeah, I'm sure. I know a good, because how do I want to phrase this? Traditional ramen is essentially like a burger is here. It's like something you go into a place, you just sit down, and they put it right in front of you. It's not a big fancy thing like it is here.
Right.
And like it still blew your mind, even with like no fuss and no frills.
Well, like I went to Yuzu and Nasako prepared ramen there in the traditional Japanese style, and it was just stellar, just absolutely amazing. Human relations specialist and fact checker extraordinaire Ben Stewart is in the chat. Wants to know what the hit list is this week. It is our 5 favorite things Japan has brought to the United States. So please, Ben, feel free to throw your list in the chat as well. I'm glad you're here. But anyway.
Froggy Gaming's number 5 is cosplay, specifically Japanese cosplayers. No one has the right to look like an anime character, just walked off the screen so damn well.
Yes, I am a huge fan of and supporter of cosplay, especially when it is really well done. I think that stems all the way back to like the very first Chun-Li cosplay I ever saw from Street Fighter 2, and like holy Christ was I hooked. I love I follow a lot of Instagram accounts and TikTokers that do cosplay, and it's such an incredible art and style, and it spreads across so many genres, and it's so incredible what they can do with just like a little bit of foam, some paint, and some LED strips.
Yeah, it really is magic what you can do, how prop masters do their thing when it comes to making cosplay stuff of any design.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, what else we got?
Marbles, number 5. I'll beat a dead horse and say my number 5 is also sushi.
We got people with
LOL.
great taste in the chat tonight. That's what I want to say. I want to say Marbles, absolutely. Becca, Jennifer, Landon, of course, all great choices.
I mean, if there's one thing we've learned from the years doing this show, we're all foodies.
That's true. The food discourse does tend to be fire in the chat. Smoke Pit in the chat. What is up? Glad you guys are here. Sorry late to the show, but better late than never. Absolutely. Anytime you're here, you turn the party up to 11. We're glad you showed up.
Mm-hmm. Ben Stewart's number 5. Oh, sake bombs. You get a mug of Japanese beer, and then you put chopsticks across the top and place a shot of sake on the sticks. Then everyone at the table slams their hands on the table and shouts sake until it falls in, and then you chug.
I've never had the joy of experiencing a sake bomb in the time that I was drinking. And now that I'm sober, I'm sad that I'll never get to experience this with you, Walt. But that does sound incredible. I do love sake and I do love beer. And I just think the two together might just be incredible.
I've never been able to get into bombs. I like to slowly enjoy my drinks rather than just chug something, which is something you cannot do with a bomb.
Yeah, I pretty much only chugged whenever I drank. I had no pacing, which is probably one of the reasons why I don't drink anymore. But and it's an offensive name, and we shouldn't use it anymore. But I'm going to use it anyway. Irish car bombs were my weakness. I would slam like 4 or 5 a night. Like just could not get enough of it. I love the taste of them. They're like chocolatey and delicious. But anyway, yeah, I sake bombs sound incredible. Can't wait to see someone doing them. I'll never experience them myself. Anyway, that is everything we have in chat. Landon, my number 5. And I just think they're so darn cute. And some people hate them, but that's on you, not on me. Chibis. I absolutely am weak for a chibi. I think they are adorable. I think whenever they did like the chibi X-Men in the comics, it was incredible. I love chibi versions of the most badass anime characters. I just think that's such a cute thing to take like one for all and or all for one and make him a chibi. I just think it's so funny and it's such a convention and something that only the Japanese would think of. It's so adorable.
Yeah.
Their little cheruby faces. Love it.
I mean, we've always done like here in the West, we have our own versions of making like other designs cuter, but like it's never been like boiled down and refined quite like the chibification style.
Yeah. Big fan of the chibis. Landon, what do you have for number 4?
All right, my number 4, the bullet train.
Ooh.
I love me some public transportation. It always just looks good, and the bullet train is just like the best version of it. It goes to all the stops at lightning speeds. It is insane. Love the bullet train.
It's such a great design. It's efficiency in motion. They're nuts. Like it's just nuts. Like we don't have bullet trains in the United States, and it's because we're not efficient enough to pull that off.
We barely have any high-speed rail lines here.
Yeah, absolutely. The Amtrak is the closest thing we have to a bullet train, and they're not that fast. But also, I'm glad Ben's in the chat because Bullet Train is also the name of a really great Netflix original movie starring Brad Pitt that if you haven't watched it, go check that shit out because it's so good.
Yes, as I was looking up pictures for bullet trains, that came up a lot too.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Love me a bullet train. Absolutely. The visual on them is great too. They're just so cool. Landon, what do we have in chat?
Jennifer J's number 4 is J-Rock. No, hold on.
You're getting there.
Oh, you all are going too fast at this. Holy shit, J-Rock.
They're dropping in very quick. J-Rock. Now, what is J-Rock?
Japanese rock.
Okay, I kind of figured, but I wasn't sure. I'm not familiar with J-Rock. What would be some J-Rock bands?
Not a clue. Joey is getting into J-pop and K-pop, but as for J-Rock, I have no idea.
I like Japanese metal for sure, like Baby and Baby Metal. I think they're incredible. I think that they do a great job of mixing that like Japanese like made cutesy stuff along with some really great metal. I don't know. I'm a fan. It works for me.
Thank you, Jen. Eric Johnson's number 4 is the Nissan Skyline GTR.
That is a sexy car. Absolutely. Anybody who's been into drift or modding cars or any of that, like you got to put NOS in it kind of mentality, that whole Fast and the Furious lifestyle that was kicked off by, and made famous by those movies. The Nissan Skyline GTR is one of the rarest of the cars that you see. They're very hard to get your hands on, and they're incredible. They're very easy to soup up, and they're fast as fuck. So if you're not familiar with them, definitely dive into that. They are very cool.
Marbles, number 4 is the Japanese cherry blossom.
That's beautiful. Sakura, right? That's the
Yeah.
yeah. The cherry blossoms are like visually stunning, both in real life and in animation. And the influence they have on Japanese culture is just incredible. They are just it's. I've rarely seen anything, including cherry blossoms, that wasn't just beautiful.
Mm-hmm. And they are like, at this, for anybody familiar with anime, they are like synonymous with romance as well.
That's true. That's true. They're also now synonymous with the Red Hulk. If you see Captain America, Brave New World, which is was a weird choice they made, but it was all right.
It's all right. Billy Rhodes, number 4 is the Walkman, invented by some guy at Sony that wanted to listen to music while going for walks.
The Walkman changed things, man. Before you had to carry a big ass jukebox around on your shoulder, and then somebody was just like, "What if we make this small enough to clip it to your hip and be really, really easy to walk around with?" What would be great is if you snag your headphone cables on everything as you walk through your house, and it teaches you a level of rage that you've never before experienced. And that's what they managed to do, for sure.
Yeah. It does suck to get your headphone cables caught on like branches or shit while you're jogging too.
Yeah,
out in
that's
nature.
true. Yes, fuck nature.
Fuck nature.
Fuck nature. That's the new shirt. Fuck nature. Cutting edge hero.
All undercase, white on black. Ben Stewart's number 4 is Pokemon. Anyone in our age group had an obsession with Pokemon at some point.
I never got the Pokemon obsession, but I'm not in Ben's age group, obviously. He's quite a bit younger than me, 11 years. But the Pokemon obsession definitely was around me, and I definitely get it. For my money, I always thought Digimon was better than Pokemon. So hopefully that doesn't piss off our entire audience. But it was big. Pokemon was big. It's my little brothers, my wife, my friends. We're all into Pokemon at some point.
I have most of a complete physical collection of the Pokemon games, and I'm quite proud of it.
Oh, my son is super into Pokemon too. He's so that, I don't know, it extends through a couple generations, I think.
Oh yeah, Pokemon, it will outlast us all.
Yeah, but the versions aren't getting better. That original catalog of the first Pokemon is untouchable. Like every newer generation that they put out, it seems like every new Pokemon and every new evolution is substandard compared to the originals. And maybe that's just because I'm old, but I just don't. I feel like they really broke the mold with the original Pokemon, and they've been kind of trying to get back that mojo since. Do you disagree?
I just have one thing to say about that, Danny.
Give me your hot take.
Bait has to be more believable than this.
You think I'm wrong?
I think you're trying to bait me.
I'm not. I'm really not. I honestly believe, because the designs, and we can talk about this for a minute. The designs on those original, like, what was it, 150 Pokemon?
151.
The original 151 Pokemon. The designs on all of those characters are so solid. And the designs on all of the ones after that, the generations beyond that, be that like your Articuno or your I can't think of some other ones, but they're far more. They seem like they didn't have the kind of thought put into them that the original 151 did.
I mean, the original 151 took heavy, shall I say, air quotes, inspiration from Akira Toriyama, and mostly his work on the Dragon Quest series.
Okay.
So a lot of their designs were more so heavily inspired by the man who I think his best work is his monster design. So, you know. Mm,
Well, I mean, it was Picasso who said, "Great artists borrow, good artists, or good artists borrow, great artists steal." And I think that's an example of that. You know, they didn't have anyone else to steal good designs from, so they're subsequently not as good. I think that that's absolutely true.
I mean, they've had different philosophies for the various designs before. Like most of Gen 2 was designed so that it would be more easy to animate.
I knew that I was fucking that up, and Ben called me out for it. Articuno is in the initial 151. I apologize. I said a random name that wasn't Charizard, I guess.
Yeah. And besides, like the original 151, like Billy here saying one of them is the newer ones is literally just a key. Yeah, one of the original 151 is literally just a pigeon named Pidgey or a rat named Rattata. Like, let's not pretend they were ever original. You all are just blinded by nostalgia. Poison your fucking minds.
I wasn't trying to bait you, Landon. This is my honest opinion.
I believe it's your honest opinion. I just believe it's one poisoned by nostalgia.
Again, I was never in the love of Pokemon. I never had that. This is an outsider's perspective. You know, my biggest my biggest influence on like love of our time with Pokemon was the Pokemon Go, which is, you know, by then there were several generations of Pokemon out by the time that game dropped. Eric Johnson said, "Me too, Danny. Digimon for the win." Absolutely. War Greymon, awesome. Angemon is my favorite of all of the Digimon because he was just, especially in the Digimon movie, was so fucking cool. But anyway, what there was some more stuff in there. Billy, I like pigeons though. Marbles, Rattata made me LOL. Ben and the three cat gods in Gen 2 are sweet. Yeah, he's probably in the same boat as you, Landon. Blaziken, hello. Lucario. Yeah, I think Lucario's cool, but also he's derivative of other Pokemon. And Froggy said Chien Poo, is it Poo? Chien Pao is one of the coolest designed Pokemon and came from the most recent gen. And then Billy said rats. I can take or leave. Fantastic. What else do we have in chat, Landon?
Oh, we got buried. Hold on a second. It'll take me a little bit.
Who knew that beyond our food discourse being fire in the chat, Pokemon discourse really goes too.
To be fair, the grand scheme of like all of the past 2 decades, it is like food, then Pokemon in list of popularity. And please note that breathing is like number 5 on that list.
Oh, Landon.
Froggy Gaming's number 4 is Pure Tea.
I don't know what that is.
I do not know either.
Let me look it up because I want to be informed. What? Did I miss something there? What is a mistake, BJ? I have no idea.
I don't know. I'm generally trying to think of a bit, but honestly, the words "I don't know" came out of my mouth before I could. I'm sorry. I'm not good at improv.
Okay. Purity is pure is a variety of fermented tea traditionally produced in the Yunnan province, China, in the context of traditional Chinese tea production. So it's a fermented tea. I've never had it. Sounds. I like tea, so sounds good.
Well, Froggy Gaming, I'm sorry to have to do this, but this is technically a disqualified entry into your hit list because this is from China, not Japan. We thank you for your submission, and we hope that you try again in the future. Thank you for your time.
Landon, for the first time in the history of the hit list and all the years we've been doing this, just qualifies an entry based on it not completely following the criteria. Froggy Gaming, that was a great entry. We totally accept it. thank you for your continued attendance to the show and participation.
And Billy, that's not a mistake, BJ. That's supposed to be a capital B and a parentheses. It's supposed to be a smiley face wearing sunglasses.
Never a mistake. Oh, oh, I get it. Never a mistake, BJ. Never ever.
Apparently, it was not just a one-off thing. Huh?
Everybody thought it was never a mistake, BJ. That's the other new T-shirt we're gonna be putting out.
God damn.
Which is hilarious because now it looks like a mistake. that's ironic, right? If I follow Alanis Morissette's definition of irony, I think that's ironic.
Guys, I'm proud to say that I will be retiring soon. I'll be training my successor shortly hereafter. They'll be taking care of everything and hopefully improve upon where I made mistakes, like the next generation always should.
This Landon's farewell speech, his retirement speech. I'm on my way out, guys. It'll get better later, I promise.
Yeah. It can't get any worse. Okay, where is everyone?
Well, where were we?
Rebecca's number 4 is cherry blossom trees. I grew up in DC, and some of my first memories are going to the Cherry Blossom Festival there. I want to go there to one in Japan on a bad day.
Okay. Yeah, that's the cherry blossoms featured in Captain America: Brave New World are the cherry blossom trees in DC. And yeah, they look gorgeous. I would love to visit them as well. So yeah, good one.
Yeah. I think that might be all the number 4s in chat.
If Landon missed any of your number 4s in chat, feel free to lambaste him violently in the chat. We appreciate each and every one of you for taking the time to do that. My number 4.
Hold on. Yeah, never mind. Sorry, go on.
My number 4 is the mystical art of karate. I am a trained martial artist myself, and karate fundamentally changed who I was as a person and made me more confident and gave me an ability to defend myself, much like this young lady here. And thank you, Japan, for sending that over, because before that, all we had was fisticuffs. So definitely changed the game for me specifically, but for lots of people in the United States. Landon, what do you have for number 3?
My number 3 is the Kaizen system.
Nippon Denso.
Yeah, it is a system to help improve efficiency in the workplace. Essentially, you find the problems that are in current system and try to work out ways on how to fix them, or try to improve efficiencies already present in the system. I'm a person who, if I'm set in my job to do a task over and over again of some kind, I will try to find a way to do it as efficiently as possible, because I know, partially it's because I know if I do it as efficiently as possible, that's less work I have to do in the long term. And another part of it is just because even if I don't enjoy what I do, I like doing a good job, no matter what it is. And I just want to do as good of a job as I possibly can in all things that I do.
Yeah, like mistake BJs.
Like mistake blowjobs, yes.
Yeah, I worked for a Japanese auto... no, Kung Fu is Chinese, Ben, and no. I worked for a Japanese auto manufacturing company called Toyota Gosai, or TG Missouri, as it's known in the area. And they worked on a Kaizen system, and it was very, very interesting that you just submitted any issue you saw with a system, and they took it into serious consideration, that you could actually be an active part of the change in any system that you found yourself involved in the company. And it was really cool.
Yeah.
So
Billy, this isn't specifically why the workers are working themselves to death. That's more of a cultural thing in the business sector. This is just one of the systems within the business itself.
That's actually a lack of unionization and the Japanese workers finding representation for themselves and forcing their employers to give them a safe and healthy work-life balance. In Japan, it is not frowned upon to expect 80 plus hours of work a week out of your employees, and they will literally work people until they die and then just replace them. Thankfully, that's one thing that the Industrial Revolution gave us in the United States, was that workers have a right to stand up and speak for themselves, and there are organizations in the United States that do that for you, and you have an avenue for that, because we used to be exactly the same way prior to unionization.
I mean, the fact that Japan is, I think, the only country in the world where worked to death is an actual cause of death is pretty fucked. But like, every country has its problems, and in talking about all the things that come from Japan, we're going to inevitably talk about these problems. So,
oh yeah, you're definitely gonna run into that, especially when you're talking about like Japanese animation. Mappa just dealt with that. The biggest animation studio out of Japan had people like working like 72 days straight with no time off in order to get the next episode of Jujutsu Kaisen out every week with the highest quality animation, which was nuts. And they ended up having to like write contracts for these people so they weren't killing them and slow down on their animation processes. So anyway, we'll get to that, or maybe not at all, but that it's definitely a problem and something that it has become a part of their cultural discussion as well. So probably will change eventually, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, it's also one of the reasons why birth rates are incredibly low in Japan right now, and if they do want to focus on that problem, like many politicians there are, they're gonna have to address the overworking issue. Certainly.
Yeah, they're too busy to get down, and that's a real problem. Everybody's got their waifu pillows. You can't get them pregnant. Like fucking pandas. Are you telling me? Like,
I mean, if you believe really, really hard.
That's nice. I would like that to be people's opinion of me whenever I'm working. I worked so hard I fell asleep. They're like, "Oh man, he's working so hard," and not, "What a lazy piece of shit." Ben expresses anime on time. No mistake, BJ's in Japan. That also won't get you pregnant.
Oh wait, maybe that's how it's a mistake, BJ. You're doing it wrong.
Yeah. It's like, honey, get me pregnant. And it's like, babe, that's not how that works. Anyway, moving along. What else do we have, Landon?
Jennifer J's number 3 is Jujitsu.
Did we do your number 3?
Yeah, I think we did my number 3. Yeah, that's how we got the Kaizen.
You're right. Carrying on.
Yeah, I know very little about Jujitsu. I got a little bit in my self-defense class, but it was mostly judo, and with a little bit of jujitsu and taekwondo thrown in. So,
Jiu-jitsu is mostly grappling. It always has to be partnered with another martial art because it is primarily grappling, and then striking is a discipline that comes in from another, like karate or taekwondo or any of the other striking arts. Jiu-jitsu primarily is just wrestling. Yeah, I mean, it's a good part of a martial arts discipline. It certainly can't be the entirety of your martial arts discipline, or it's not going to carry you very far in a fight. So Brazilian jiu-jitsu is the like predominant one that people do. It's the one that has been refined to the point where they use it, like everybody in MMA uses Brazilian jiu-jitsu, but yes, its origins are in Japan. So yeah.
yes. Rebecca's number 3, Alice in Borderland. Absolutely phenomenal show. Death Games kind of show with Squid Games vibes, but even better in my opinion. Everyone should watch it.
I was not aware that this existed. So yeah, I will have to check that out.
Yeah.
Is that something you're familiar with?
I know nothing about it. It
Okay.
sounds familiar, so I'm sure I checked it out at some point, but definitely didn't
Yeah.
watch enough of it for it to stick.
When I saw Alice in Borderland, I assumed it was a Borderlands connected game, but clearly it is not. What is that? Oh, Tiny Tina's Wonderland is the Alice in Wonderland's Borderlands type game. So Alice in Borderland, I will have to check that out. Where can I find that, Rebecca? It's on Netflix. Perfect.
Nice. All right. Marbles, number 3. Not the full system because I could never, but Mary Kondo's philosophy, does this spark joy?
It's
If
Marie
not,
Kondo.
what?
It's Marie Kondo.
Marie Kondo's philosophy, does this spark joy? If not, throw it the fuck out.
Yeah, the Marie Kondo's revolutionary organizational program for getting your life and your household organized is that if this thing that you pick up does not spark joy, you get rid of it. That unfortunately sometimes will lead to you putting your children out on the street. So maybe don't follow it 100%. Yeah, it was a phase for a little while in the United States. I remember it was like 2016, 2017 ish, where people were organizing their houses based on the Marie Kondo method. Unfortunately for me, everything I own sparks joy, and that's how I end up with shelves like this. And these are not the only 2 shelves in my house like this; they're literally everywhere. Everything I own sparks joy, and so I would actually be adding to the clutter and not reducing. So the Marie Kondo didn't work for me.
Was that really 2016, 2017? I
It,
thought that
it's
was
a
like I thought that was like during the pandemic.
It was well before that because I was running Mary Jane in Perryville whenever
Mm.
that fad came through. So I know it was like late 2016, early 2017 whenever we were discussing it. Becca says, I can't do the sparks joy part of Marie Kondo's system, but I do love her folding method for your clothes. Changed my ADHD life to be able to see all my clothes in the drawer. LOL. I actually do still follow kind of the Marie Kondo folding structure for my clothes. Marble said, my favorite thing about her is that after she had kids, she admitted that it was impossible to keep up. Yeah, so true.
Yeah, that tracks. Billy Rhodes, number 3. Godzilla -1. Jesus, I fucking hate those Godzilla X Kong movies. -1 made those guys look like huge assholes.
I don't have the visceral response to the Godzilla X Kong movies that you do, Billy. I think they're fun. I enjoy them for what they are. I don't, I know they're not going to win an Oscar, but they are 2 kaijus running around smashing into each other and having like big CGI battles that I kind of enjoy. And unfortunately, full disclosure, feel free to shame me about it. I still have not watched -1. I need to because I love Godzilla. I'm a huge Godzilla fan. I just have not gotten around to watching -1 yet.
I've seen some of the early Godzilla and Kong movies. They seem like fun. I haven't watched any beyond that, but I can't really blame anybody for liking them.
Much like my love for Transformers lore and history, Godzilla's lore and history is very in depth and it's all over the place because he's been handled by so many different companies in so many different ways. And I just love diving into that world and trying to make sense of all of it. Billy Rhodes, shots fired at Chris Pratt, said they are so fucking boring. I can't believe Chris Pratt doesn't star in them. Ouch.
Yeah.
Anyway, that is all of our number 3s in chat. My number 3 is video game consoles. Now, that is the family computer or the Famicom if you have a hard time understanding simple Japanese. But that is the system that would someday become the regular Nintendo that hit American stores in the early 80s that revolutionized home video gaming. Now, the Atari system does predate the the regular Nintendo hitting shores, but if you've ever played Atari and then regular Nintendo, you will know that the Atari was absolute dog shit compared to what Nintendo gave us whenever they dropped the NES on us. And that started the trend of coming out with newer, better, higher graphic revolution video game systems and consoles until we got to the point where we are today with the Xbox Series X and the PS5, and then everybody who brags about having a fucking PC that can do all the same shit. So yeah, I get it. You're really fucking cool. But anyway, I love video game consoles. They were a huge cornerstone of my childhood and my developmental years. And I still have a very strong love for Nintendo specifically, and then Sony, and then very, very small amount for Xbox, because fuck Microsoft.
I think video games are overrated, you know? No, they had a huge...
Catch Landon and Billy on their podcast Date Night at Power Noodle, where they discuss the Fallout video game franchise, as well as whatever else they feel like delving into. What was it you were saying about video games being overrated, Landon?
Oh, man, I mean, they are so fucking... so many fucking assholes could just put whatever they want out there. Like, it's such overflowed market right now. Like, fuck them all. No, I absolutely love video games. I think they are responsible for a lot of the everything that is me, for better and for worse, mostly for worse. And yeah, they're part of my life at this point. I could imagine life without them, but it'd be a lot less. It'd be a lot more boring.
There's a lot of like time I've spent and references I make that are just like a cornerstone of my personality, that I'd be a much less fleshed out human being if I didn't have video games.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Like Legend of Zelda, for starters, is a huge cornerstone of who I am. Link, you know, I want to be like Link. I want to talk way less and solve all my problems with a bow and a sword.
I mean, if you start talking a lot less, this show is going to be a lot less entertaining.
Could you imagine? You just tune in and I'm like, hit, hot, hot, hot.
Writing that down as an April Fool's idea.
That's the whole show
for all of April.
And then Landon's over there on the mic like, hey, listen. Yeah, you're Navi.
I'm Navi.
Yeah, you're Navi in this situation.
God damn it. I don't want to be Navi, but I know I'm Navi.
You're Navi. But anyway, for all those of you in the chat who aren't as fucking nerdy as we are, Landon, what was your number 2?
All right, my number 2, it is ties in heavily with that. It is the blue LED. Now, for those of you that don't know, the blue LED is the linchpin that made LED screens. For the longest time, we just couldn't do it. We had to do it the old CRT method. But if you have red light, green light, and blue light, you can make any other color out there. And red and green were super easy to make. We did that in like the 60s and I want to say the 70s pretty easily. Blue didn't
red and green or red and yellow?
Red and green.
Okay.
And like blue didn't come out until the 90s because it was so difficult to do. But like a lab in Japan and a man whose name I'm forgetting right now finally developed it. And it's what is responsible for like most of the information technology we have around us today. It is incredibly vital. It's incredible.
I'm willing to bet his name was Hideo Blue LED Jama.
You know what? I think you got me. I think, yeah, you filled that gap in my knowledge.
Yeah, I'm glad I could help. LED screens, yeah, they definitely changed the whole situation with it was green, really. Red, green, and blue? Because red and yellow.
Because RGB lights.
Red, green. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
You're right. It's the RGB. I just think of like the color theory, and with red, yellow, and blue, you can, or red, yellow, red, yellow, and blue, the primary colors, you can make every other color.
That's for like paints and pigments and stuff like that. But for light, it's a bit different.
For the electromagnetic spectrum.
Yes.
Gotcha. I learned something today, guys. That's the important thing, is that we're learning together.
We are learning
Landon,
so much together.
What do we have in chat?
Marbles. Number 2 is Nintendo and Natsume.
Okay, I know what Nintendo is. What's Natsume?
I have no idea.
You guys got me Googling today.
In the meantime, Jennifer J's number 2 is Mochi.
Is it mochi or oh yeah, it's mochi. Mochi's delicious. That is something that a consistency and a flavor that you do not get out of American food. I love mochi because it's not marshmallows. You know, it's something entirely different.
Oh, Natsume Inc. makes Harvest Moon.
Okay. All right, I'll stop Googling. I actually forgot how to spell it as I was typing it. So, ADHD. Yeah, Harvest Moon. I've full disclosure, I've never played Harvest Moon.
Mm-hmm.
I know a lot of people who do, but I am offended by the fact that Harvest Moon is basically just all of the mini games from Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past, but in a full video game version where you don't fight evil or save any princesses from Ganon. And so I've stayed away from Harvest Moon, but it looks fun.
I don't know. It's nice to just live a simple life, go farming, go mining. You're not necessarily like a massive like fighting hero. You're just living your regular life, doing achievements.
I can live
a
my
nice
regular
step away
life
from real life
in
where
my
I'm not
regular
doing
life.
achievements.
I want to fight evil in massive battles in my fantasy life.
Well, we all have escapes for different reasons, don't we?
The original Harvest Moon for SNES is so good. Again, never played it, but I will. I will like maybe watch a YouTube video that explains it so that I'm a little better informed.
Rebecca's number 2 is matcha. As someone who doesn't drink coffee, matcha is one of my faves and still lets me enjoy going to cute coffee shops like my inner millennial girl wants to.
First off, Becca, you don't drink coffee? What the hell? And secondly, I've tried some matchas. The varying quality of what you get when you order a matcha something just blows my mind. Sometimes it's so matcha forward you can't drink it, and sometimes the matcha is so vague in the drink that you might as well just be drinking sugar water. And I still to this day cannot tell you which one I think is the better option.
I mean, I like matcha. I still go for coffee over matcha. But then, like, my experience has been pretty similar to yours, where it's like, oh, this is a bunch of very different qualities. But, like, that's kind of my experience with going to coffee shops and getting coffees. Like, oh, yeah, this coffee, it tastes like it's mostly just the flavoring. And this coffee, it feels like they added a drop of whatever flavoring they add, and the rest is just black coffee. Like,
yeah. I mostly just do the dad order. I drink a lot of mint mochas at coffee shops, and my preference is just black coffee.
My philosophy is it's hard to fuck up a mocha.
That's a great philosophy. Coffee forward, chocolate forward. It's a win-win.
Exactly.
A little mint flavor, a little peppermint in there though. So good, like an Andy's mint in my mouth, which is where Andy's mints go normally. If you were putting them anywhere else, you're doing it wrong. But I won't yuck your yum if that's just your thing. That was a defensive deflection from anyone saying, Danny, where do you put Andy's mints? Neither here nor there. Moving along.
Yeah, it's neither here nor there. You put them in your mouth. End of story.
Yeah, they both a delicious mint mocha and an Andy's mint go in your mouth. And I assure you, I do have nipples. Moving along.
Billy Rhodes, number 2. Since Danny said the home console already, and since he already said he has nipples, I'll go with the handheld and say the Game Boy.
It did not say that, but dude, yeah, I remember the original Game Boy. I loved that thing. Driving home from like events or going to like like house parties and stuff with my family, and like driving. And this is a common reflection. Everybody dealt with it, but it was so funny to like be trying to play your Game Boy and catch street lights as you went past, so you could like play a little bit more. And man, I miss my Game Boy. I wish I still had my original gray and purple Game Boy.
I had a purple Game Boy Color when I was younger.
The Game Boy Color was a game changer.
And I had the little light thing that you plugged in, and while that was nice, it ate away at the batteries like it was nothing.
Yeah, the Neo Geo dropped the first backlit screen for a handheld game, and it was incredible, but all their games sucked. And then Nintendo finally put out a version that had a backlit color screen, and it was like, this is awesome. I can see everything.
They even released a Game Boy Light, I believe, that did also was an original Game Boy with the backlit screen. I know they had that for the Game Boy Color, but I think the Game Boy Light, or was it the Game Boy Pocket, that was a Japanese exclusive.
The do you remember, and this may be a little before your time, but you might still remember it anyway, you're into older tech. But for the Super Nintendo, they released a Super Game Boy. And
yes.
It was
an NES cartridge.
It was an SNES cartridge that your Game Boy cartridges could go into, and you could play your Game Boy games on your SNES. That was awesome. I loved that.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. And Rebecca, I'm gonna be real. Like I said, I had the purple Game Boy Color, and because of that, anytime I have the option to buy something else of a similar, like a similar thing,
like color scheme or
like a similar handheld, like I buy a lot of ROM machines now. That's just made to play the ROMs I get through fully legal means.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, absolutely.
On them, I always get that clear plastic see-through.
I actually believe
shell.
I may be wrong here, and she'd have to verify, but I actually believe Katrina has one of those actively right now. She has a purple, like see-through, like crystal purple Game Boy color.
Katrina's a lucky woman.
And she has the flip screen Game Boy too.
Oh, the Game Boy Advance.
Yeah, she has a flip screen Game Boy Advance upstairs. No crimes here, officer. Yeah, marbles. Yeah, because if you're a cop, you have to tell us. That's a rule.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's the law.
Oh, and Billy, I'm talking about Atomic Purple. Atomic Purple all the way.
Yeah, I think we in our household, as me and like when I was younger, going through the different handhelds, and then also with Ben and my other little brothers, there was varying degrees of every single version of the Game Boy, from the original one all the way up to the Game Boy Advance SP, all the way up to what was the last one they did prior to the Switch?
That would be prior to the Switch. It was well into the DS. It was like 3DS XL.
Yes. Yep. Damien has the not the XL. Damien still has his black 3DS, and we actually just jailbroke it so that he could legally put ROMs on his 3DS as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Totally legal means. Yeah, definitely.
I actually ended up accidentally buying two Japanese 3DS XLs to jailbreak, and I ended up giving one to Joey and kept one for myself.
Totally legally.
Totally legally.
Totally legally. Third shirt idea.
Totally legally.
Brackets. Totally legally.
Mm-hmm.
Cutting edge hero. Anyway, what else do we have? Any other number twos in the chat?
I think Billy's was the last number 2.
Fantastic. Great number twos there, you guys. Thank you for dropping those on us. They were hot and awesome. Landon, are you ready to give me your number 1? Your number 1, please.
Yes, of course.
I wouldn't need to make a shirt with the nipples cut out because I definitely have nipples. We all believe me. I definitely do.
Well, my number one, it kind of ties in with my number two, is all the different information technologies that Japan has given us. If the image will show, please. Uh, the image I have, even though it's not showing up, there, there we go, is the Walkman. But they've also created the VHS, multiple video game companies, like we've been talking about, satellite navigation. Like all of these are in just technologies that have changed how we live. And these have all come from Japan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're great at taking, great ideas and turning them into tiny little useful compact packages that we can carry around on us, like a GPS or sat nav, as they call them in the UK. Billy said, "Hey, I don't have nipples in this race. I'm just trying to help my friend." Oh shit. But anyway, yeah,
Yeah.
Japan was great for that. They always have been. They really mastered the art of minimizing technology to where it's handheld and useful, as opposed to the way that America made supercomputers that occupied entire warehouses.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I know VHSs aren't something that affect us nowadays, but they did a lot of work back then. The Walkman was revolutionary for its time, and even though it probably wouldn't have caused like us to be listening with headphones now while we walk to work or whatever, it still was revolutionary in its time.
Yeah.
Like all of these things were that came out so quickly, uh had an impact on the world.
Uh, the uh, the staying power of the VHS cassette tape, as opposed to the staying power of the DVD or the Blu-ray, was massive. Like it was a much longer period that we were using VHS on the market than that we switched to DVD and then Blu-ray, and then very quickly moved to streaming, where those things are no longer really required or necessary. The last thing I bought on disc for like movie type stuff was when they dropped The Crow on Blu-ray. But I do not buy a lot of DVDs. I do not buy a lot of Blu-rays. Everything's streaming now. But VHS, that had a legacy, it was around for a long time.
Yeah. Yeah, that's my number one. All the various information technologies that came out of Japan.
Yeah, good on you, Japan. Way to be. You know what? I didn't do my number two. We went right past my number two into your number one. So we're going to roll it back just a skosh and do my number two real quick. My number two is animation. Now, you're going to think I mean anime, and I do not. I mean animation. It was a very common thing from the 80s through the 90s. It's still currently a thing that they would send ideas to Japan to be animated by Japanese animation studios that would be released as American shows. So, as the example I gave in those images, Transformers from the 80s was a Japanese animation done in Japan, brought to the United States, and then done as an American production with voice actors. X-Men, the animated series, the original from the 90s, it was all of the animation was done in Japan and shipped to the United States. Batman, the animated series, done in Japan, shipped to the United States. The same with Superman, the animated series, and many other animated series from your childhood and my childhood were actually Japanese animation to begin with. So you can't necessarily call them anime because the production doesn't completely finish in Japan and then get sent to America, but the animation portion of those productions were all done in Japan. So I have heard people who love those animated series, X-Men, Transformers, Batman the animated series, The Adventures of Superman, say they cannot watch Japanese animation because it just doesn't look good to them and it just doesn't make sense, and they only like American animation. And those people are so dumb because it is clearly, as we can all see, they also love Japanese animation as much as the next guy. But yes, we owe a lot of our most nostalgic animated series from our childhood to Japan. And so thank you Japan for giving us some of the best American shows we've ever had, as well as Japanese shows.
Everybody say thank you, Japan. Thanks, Japan.
Thanks, Japan. Landon, what other number ones do we have in the chat?
Jennifer J's number 1. My husband.
That was almost my number one. Your husband, Eric Johnson, an incredible human being and a patriot and American hero, soldier, just all around nerd, great guy.
Yeah.
Yes.
Marble is number 1. I don't have a Japanese husband, so my number 1 is mochi.
As we previously discussed, mochi is awesome. I love it. It's a texture and flavor that you cannot get, that you couldn't get in the United States prior to Japan introducing us to it, and it's so good. I couldn't if I had to describe mochi, like if I was like Walt Whitman and I had to tell you what it was like to eat a piece of mochi, all I could say is fantastic, awesome. Like I couldn't give you like descriptors like firm yet soft, gooey yet dense. I don't know. It's just really good. I don't think the American lexicon has room to describe mochi effectively.
I don't think so, no.
Yeah,
I've tried mochi and I can't quite describe it either.
Fantastic.
Gooey. Yeah, no, can't do it. I tried.
Yeah, because when I think gooey, I think like marshmallows, marshmallow fluff, brownies, like fudge brownies, like gooey, something like that. And that's not what mochi is. It's firm, but soft. It's dense, but light.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I can do it. I don't have the words for it.
Rebecca's number 1, anime. No explanation required. Lol.
Really, no explanation required. I love anime. I love so many different series. I'm a isekai whore now, and I didn't used to be. Dragon Ball Z. But I'm not going to get too into it because that might also be my number one. But thank you, Rebecca. That was a great choice.
Yeah. Billy Rhodes, number 1. Pearl High. I mean, those full body Yakuza style tattoos. Those are pretty cool looking.
Danny. Billy, you fucker. Billy, non-Newtonian fluid might be the way to describe it. No. But yeah, the full body Yakuza tattoos, they're great. That's a really cool thing that came from Japan. Another interesting thing from Japan is you can't actually mention the Yakuza. According to Japanese law, the Yakuza doesn't actually exist. So, I mean, you see it come out of there. They've been more loose with that media than they used to be. But there was a period where if you featured the Yakuza in any American film, that part of the movie had to be taken out before it could be showed in Japan because the official Japanese stance was that the Yakuza didn't actually exist. But now they do like Japanese games about Yakuza and stuff. So obviously they've loosen that restriction, but there was a period in Japan where you couldn't even say Yakuza in Japan, and it was against the law.
Yeah, I can believe that. In fact, if I remember right, you are not allowed in steam baths, or not steam baths. You know what I'm talking about.
The springs.
So, yeah,
the hot springs.
Hot springs. If you have a tattoo, because it is because they just associate tattoos with the Yakuza so much over there.
Yeah.
That's all the number ones in chat, I believe.
Okay. Becca, I don't know what onsen is. I apologize. Cool. I'm the fucker. You act like I surprise attacked naval base. Jesus fucking Christ, Billy. Oh, he gets me. Oh, okay. Yes. Thank you, Becca. Onsen. That's the name of the Japanese hot springs. Uh, uh, anyway, Landon, my number one is anime. Be it anything from Studio Ghibli, Dragon Ball Z, specifically the anime that got me into anime, whether you're talking about Battle of Planets or Voltron or Speed Racer, all of those with indelible impacts on the United States. Or you're talking about more modern anime like Naruto or Black Clover or Jujutsu Kaisen or just freaking anything, dude. The idea of an isekai, time I got reincarnated as a slime, or yeah, I'm a spider, so what, or reincarnated as a refrigerator, or whatever the current trend in Japanese reincarnation anime are. Mushoku Tensei, probably one of my favorite isekai anime to have come out in the last several years. Solo Leveling right now, which obviously isn't Japanese, but just an incredible show. But all of that inspiration, all the things that have led to that, Vampire Hunter D, the list goes on and on. Akira. I love Japanese animation. Whenever I was a kid, we called it Japanime. And then as we got older, we shortened it to anime. But Japan bringing anime to the United States changed my life. And it changed who I am as a person, and getting the opportunity to see these massive stories about heroes who fought through their shortcomings and became so incredibly powerful that they were able to finally defeat the big bad, gave me hope and inspiration as a teenager, and also still do as an adult. But I just love it so much, and I'm glad that it's something that, for the most part, we all share as a fandom, and that it is continuing to grow as part of the zeitgeist of the United States, and continuing to permeate pop culture. Whether it's that you're seeing like Megan Thee Stallion dressed as different anime characters, or the fact that in the MCU they dressed Killmonger as Vegeta for the actual movie, like just stuff like that. It's just so cool that part of Japanese culture is permeating what America sees as pop culture now, and it's been a really cool ride to be on. So that's my favorite thing to have come out of Japan.
Yeah. Everyone here has seen anime in some form or another,
Yeah, absolutely.
because it is such a massive media, really.
Yep.
I,
Yeah.
I hesitate to call it a genre.
Right. Yeah, even my mom, who's 72 years old, recognizes anime when she sees it. She just knows it's time to walk out of the room usually, but I'm trying. I'll get her there eventually. But anyway, that is our hit list for this week. Next week, we are going to do. Let's see. I wrote one down that was from Kenpachi last week. I think it was favorite endings. So we're going to do our 5 favorite endings. Now, that can be from anything. That can be the endings to a book series. That could be the endings to a movie, franchise, a comic book, whatever media you want, video game, whatever media you want to pull from. There are no rules. And if you do find some way to defy the rules, like Froggy did earlier, Landon will call you out for it. But otherwise, we'll just keep on rocking. So next week, your 5 favorite endings. And this has been the Hit List.
And everyone, now that we've celebrated Japan, why don't you go do it more and watch the seminal classic You'll Only Live Twice, which for sure only provides the best light to Japan.
I don't get that reference. I might have to actually check this thing out.
Oh, it's a James Bond film from the 60s.
Oh, so it's problematic as fuck, is what you're
Oh,
telling me.
yeah, it is.
Yeah. Okay. Never mind. I'll stay away from that.
Yeah.
Well, that is our show for the week. Thank you, everyone who tuned in, for being a part of the show, being a part of the chat, for being here, for making this another great week to be a part of Cutting Edge Hero. And we could not do this show without you. We appreciate each and every one of you. Landon, you want to say anything to the nice folks?
Just like every week. Thank you all for coming out and chatting with us and just providing your input. It always makes the show better when you do.
It really does. Otherwise, it would just be me and Landon here jerking each other off. Thank you guys.
I thought we were waiting to do the OnlyFans stuff.
Yes, the Cutting Edge Hero After Dark stream will be going up on OnlyFans soonish. I'll let you guys know when it drops. But anyway, thank you guys. We will see you next week with your 5 favorite endings. We will also be talking about Daredevil episode 4, the season finale for Invincible, as well as whatever the hell else we decide to talk about. You guys have been incredible. We've been Cutting Edge Hero.
See y'all.